Am I enslaved to collecting? That's the focus of today's chat. Quite a serious chat about addiction. And am I addicted to what I do, to what I buy? That's what we're going to get into. But this is going to be quite an in-depth discussion, and it's going to touch upon things in my life that I've never spoke about before, really, and never really brought into the channel. So let's just dive in. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And I've had this video on my mind for some time and doing this, and it's about addiction. It's about whether I'm addicted to spending money, buying stuff, and exploring that, and maybe coming to a conclusion at the end as to whether I am or I'm not, and what I'm going to do moving forward with this, if anything at all. Or do I live with it? I don't know. So yeah, where do I begin? I don't know. So collecting habits, addiction. We all know what addiction is. Addiction is when you are you're enslaved to something, whether it be narcotic, alcohol, smoking, spending money, shopaholics, this sort of a thing, all that sort of stuff, and it has an adverse effect and a negative impact on your life, in one way or another, or maybe on the lives of those around you. So for me, I don't really know where to begin with this. Like I said, I'm going to touch upon some quite serious subjects. And there we go. So for me, collecting, I've always had collecting in my nature. I've always bought stuff. I've always collected stuff from quite a young age, from the age of buying toys, from the age of, I started work at 11. I had like a job after school daily, and it gave me a little bit of money, and it would afford me my comics and things like this, a few VHS tapes here and there, and I started collecting like that. Obviously, as I moved into work properly, I had more money to spend, and I would spend it. I certainly would. While I was living at home with my parents, I would spend this money. Only, they wouldn't ever encourage me to save, and I think that's a negative on their part. No, I don't mean to sound bad of them, but they never really encouraged me to save or anything like that. And that's a lesson that I've learned and bestowed upon my children. I've kind of encouraged them and pointed them in the directions that I weren't pointed. Now, my mother died when I was quite young. She died when I was quite young. I was in my sort of mid-teens when she passed away, and I want to say that it had no impact on me whatsoever. Yes, I was upset and whatnot, but it had no impact. At least I didn't think that it did. A few years after that, after 3 years of being very much withdrawn from society, withdrawn from people around me, yes, I carried on working. I missed maybe 2 days of school because of her passing away. That's not including the funeral day. 2 days of school I missed. Work, similar, weekend work. I missed maybe a day of work because of it. Nothing more. And carried on. But I found myself, I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't have a girlfriend for 3 years after that. And I didn't think that I'd ever find anyone, have a relationship with anyone or anything like this. And that's because I distanced myself from people. And the fact was, I didn't want to have anything to do with anyone, rather than anyone not having I wouldn't see signs if anyone did want to have anything to do with me. That broke about 3 years after, and it weren't long before I was back in the dating game, and early 20 or 20, I met my first wife, the mother of my children, and all this sort of a thing. But during that relationship and the work that I was doing, I was working, 6 days a week, 13, 14 hours a day. It wasn't, conducive to a relationship, most definitely. And I found myself falling foul of having mental health problems and depression. Now, before this happened, I would laugh at people who had depression. I would, and I'd say that'd never be me. Never, it was me. It did turn out to be me. For whatever reason, stuff that was going on. There was days when I went to work and I hadn't eaten, I hadn't slept, and I literally I collapsed. I passed out. I literally just blacked out and collapsed and fell to the floor on, I want to say, 3 occasions that occurred. 3 separate occasions. And that's where I was at. Only I didn't know that I was suffering with mental health problems until I went and spoke to someone, and they said, I want you to go and see a doctor, because I believe that everything you've just told me is you suffering with depression. And sure enough, I was. And I was unfortunate enough to I had overwhelming feelings of ending my life. They were I'd go to bed at night and I wouldn't sleep, and I'd just lay there thinking about suicide. It was very overwhelming. It was very controlling. It was very much overpowering of my thoughts. I couldn't not break the habit of thinking about that. I'd try and think about something else, but then these other thoughts would creep in and all this sort of a thing. I've pretty much suffered for the entirety of my life with mental health problems, and that's what brought me around to creating this channel, because I thought to myself, if anything was to happen to me, now this was 3 years ago I started this channel, and I thought, if anything was to happen to me, I've got nothing to leave my children. They'd get a little bit of money, death in service is quite reasonable, shall we say, for me, and I'd have nothing to leave them apart from this room of stuff that I've accumulated over the years, yes. But do they want this? They might want 1 or 2 pieces. They might sell the rest. Good luck to them if they do. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't get nowhere near what some of it is worth, because the amount of time and effort it would take to sell the stuff that I've got, that's a job unto itself. So anyway, I was, 3 years ago, I thought, I'm leaving nothing for my children. So I saw other people doing YouTube channels, and I thought to myself, do you know what? That's a good idea. Talk about what I love. Not only does it detract my mind from the issues that I'm having up here, it enables me to leave something of myself behind for them, in that there's these videos that they could go back and watch of me if something was to happen to me. And what I mean by something to happen to me is if I'd actually gone and committed suicide. That's what it comes down to, yes. Now, I know a lot of people say to you, that's selfish. That is so selfish to do that. When you've lived it, it's a different thing, okay? I would always argue, it's like when you hear someone jumped in front of a train. How selfish of them. Didn't think of the train driver. Okay, but if you had the mental capacity to actually think of the impact that you had on the train driver at that moment in time, you wouldn't be stood there doing what you're doing in the first place. Literally, you wouldn't. You'd be, you don't think like that. You don't think logically like that when you're in that state, when you're in that moment. Yeah, so there's no selfishness coming into it whatsoever. And yes, because it's only a very small moment of time that you're there, that you're at that. And I've seen the worst of it. I've experienced the worst of it, believe you me. But anyway, so I've never brought that into the channel. Something I've never really spoke about. I've alluded to it, that I've had mental health problems. But yeah, but this goes into me collecting and me, my am I addicted to collecting? Because it's a health problem. It's a mental health problem. It's addiction. Obviously, addiction is. So, like I said, my purchasing habits are nothing to do with the channel. the channel's had an impact and an effect on it, and YouTube has had an effect on it, yes. But like I said, from a young age, I had money to spend, and I would spend it. And literally, I'd spend everything I have. Everything I have. I stopped drinking at the age of 21. Never a fan of it. I've never smoked. I've never taken drugs. I would just buy stuff that I liked. Comic books, films, collectible memorabilia, things like this. Only back then we didn't have the internet. So it was a case of once a week I'd go to shops up London, comic shops and all this. Now, from a young age I was a manager in the work that I'd done, and it was a 7-day-a-week kind of job, you know what I mean? And I'd be in charge of rostering myself and 40 other people over these 7 days. And I'd always give myself a specific day off. That day off being a Thursday. Yeah, reason being, it was comic release day. So I didn't miss out. Fear of missing out came into play there. So I'd be up there on comic release day to pick up my pickups. Get the new items that had come out that I wanted. So there, you can see something there, a habit there that still sort of continues today. For not just for me, but for a lot of people. You know, that going to the shop on a Monday when new physical media is released, or on a Tuesday if you're in America, to make sure you get it. Make sure you see what's out and grab what's out. I used to do it back in the day with comics, yes. Years ago. I'm going back 27 years. So I've been there, I've done that. But as you can see, I've amassed a collection of stuff, and getting rid of it is a problem. I've started culling. You know that I've started culling stuff. My weekly, bi-weekly, every fortnight, culling the collection where I'm starting to get rid of stuff, and I'm enjoying that, and that's sort of helping to break a cycle. However, inevitably, even after this video, my next video will probably be I've received something through the post. Now, the thing with me when purchasing, well, physical media collecting, I've always collected physical media. I've gone from VHS, I dabbled in Laserdisc, I went into DVD, into Blu-ray, into 4K, and I sort of sat with 4K, Blu-ray as the primary purchases, and now and then I'll pick up DVD. I didn't keep a hold of my VHSs. I sold them all. I got rid of them all at that time when VHS was dying. A lot of my DVDs went. I did. But I did keep a fair few and sort of condensed them down and this sort of thing. And Blu-rays now, I was at a point where I didn't want to get rid of anything. Even when I had doubles, I don't want to get rid of it. I want to keep it. I want to keep it. But now, luckily, I'm breaking that cycle a bit. So, like I said, addiction. Am I addicted or am I an extreme collector? Or is an extreme collector an addict? I don't know. Let's have a look. Hoarding is obviously something else that comes into play here. Am I a hoarder? That's another question that I need to sort of answer about myself. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on. So, first of all, do I have a difficulty in discarding objects? Do I have a difficulty discarding, regarding of worth? Yes, most definitely. That's one thing that I would say, yes, I do have a problem with discarding of stuff or getting rid of. Okay, I know I'm doing my culling the collection, and there are titles there that I'll be getting rid of that I don't have in another format, but yes, so I do have a problem because I've got comic books going back to the age of 11 up to now. I've got boxes and boxes and boxes of comic books. So that, yes, is a problem that I have, discarding. And that leads into like strong urges to keep and distress of throwing out. Do I have a distress? I have strong urges to keep. I mean, this is pretty much the same subject, really. We're talking about the same thing. And throwing out is, yes, I don't want to throw anything away that I've got. Seriously. I've collected it. You know, I did 3 years ago. I sold a fair bit of stuff. when I was at my worst again with physical media, about 4 years ago actually, before I even started this channel. I sold a wealth of stuff that I do regret some of it selling. I had a lot of Movie Maniacs figures. I sold them on. I had a BB gun that was Robocop's gun. That was black. It was coloured. I regret getting rid of that one. You know, I had a huge Ash figure. Same size as my Robocop, if you've seen it. A big, like, 14-inch or whatever size it is. Army of Darkness Ash figure. I got rid of that. I got rid of my little Ashes and things like that. You know, I got rid of Punisher figures because what I was doing was there was so much going up here that it felt that getting rid of that was helping me declutter up here. Just these little bits here and there. But that was an extreme moment. Do you know what I mean? So accumulation and clutter. I've accumulated a lot, yes. And is it clutter? It spills into other rooms. Everything I've got can't stay in one room. I need more space for it, most definitely. And I'm not talking about physical media. I'm talking about comic books and collectible statues and this sort of thing. They spill into other rooms, you know. And the accumulation of stuff. I have this habit of when I delve into something, I delve in quick and I want to amass it quick. Case in point, the Masters of the Universe figures of recent that I've been picking up. I'm still waiting on one to turn up that I've bought. I've accumulated those quickly. I've not waited. I've not, you know, been patient with it. Now, I do see patience with the physical media because I've collected over time and I have amassed what I've got over time. But I see other people who are stepping into the realm of physical media and they're buying as quick as anything. Bam, 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 bam. I need to build this up now. And that's a habit that, yes, I feel that I have, but not so much in the realm of physical media. You know, but there we go. So, does it cause me stress and impairment to function? I would say no on that. I don't get distressed. And it doesn't impair my day-to-day functioning in life or work, things like that. The mental health does. The mental health does, not the collecting, not that. Now, obviously, another big part of collecting is you know, like I said, or you know, addiction is the harm that it can cause, harm to myself, to oneself, I should say, depending on what the addiction is, and harm to those around you. So, how could this harm others? Well, the one way that this could harm others is the spending of money. They're getting yourself into debt. That's something I've suffered with. I have suffered with debt. Okay, I'm not going to say that I haven't. I have a long time ago. Okay, so it was very easy to get caught up with credit cards and things like this back in the day. You know, before 2008, when we had the credit crunch, when things happened, that's when stores like Woolworths shut down and things like that. Banks were giving out credit like nobody's business to everyone. You know, money was like, and we lived in a consumer society, which we still do now, and everyone wanted everything, and I wanted stuff, right? So I never had a credit card up until the point that me and my first wife, we moved house, or she moved in with me initially. I had a flat, and then we sold that, and we put that down as deposit to a house, and we got a credit card because we didn't really have no savings per se to speak of. And the credit card was there as a buffer to sort of pay for things that we needed to pay for the house move. That then, when the house has moved and we got the money, we could then pay off. Only I kept the credit card going, and I would use it. You know, Region 1 Blu-rays, DVDs. Sorry, Region 1 DVDs were the thing. Importing films that weren't even out in this country yet. You know. Having that stuff, do you know what I mean? And being burnt a lot because you was buying crap, you know. I remember importing was the Whole Nine Yards, you know, the Adam Sandler one remake, and afterwards, the film I never watched again. But I paid probably 30-35 quid for it to import, Maybe that's a bit much, excessive. I can't remember. It's a long time ago when those import days occurred. So there is that. So I have been down that, and yes, it hurt myself financially, and it hurt those around me. Yes, it did. It hurt those around me. Those habits have changed. I learnt my lesson well with that one. I really did. I mean, I don't have a credit card. I don't have an overdraft. And this is the other thing, overdraft. Banks and overdrafts back then. Right. There was a time when I was in my overdraft up to about, I want to say about 900 quid. And I was living in it. And the bank came to me and said, do you want a loan? Accumulate your debt, pay off the overdraft. I said, no. I think I was doing the right thing here. I thought I was doing the right thing anyway. I said, nope, I'm not interested. I don't, because what's going to happen is inevitably I'll pay off the overdraft. I'll get back into it again. I will feed, and that's what the bank was hoping for. And I said, no. In hindsight, what I should have done was said, yes, I'll take the loan, accumulate, pay off, and then let's get rid of the overdraft. Let's not have the overdraft. Only I didn't consider that as an option. I don't know why. And but I said no to it anyway. I said no to the loan. Lo and behold, 2 weeks later, I got a letter from the bank saying, we've increased your overdraft limit to, well, it was nigh on £2,000. Nigh on £2,000. Crazy. That means that if I was in that overdraft, I would be always forever in an overdraft if I reached that, because my monthly pay wouldn't cover that. So I'd always start in the red every bloody month. Horrendous, but that's what happened. So now there is no overdraft. There is no credit card. I'm very good. I think I'm very good for the most part with money now, in that I sit down on a couple of days before payday, and I've got a book, and I have all my outgoings in it. Bam, 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 and the minute I get paid, that morning I get paid, I start diverting all this money to other accounts, to accounts that my wife has got, that covers literally every outgoing, every aspect of outgoing, food, bills. I pay for my daughter to drive. I give my daughter money to help her out going through school, and all this sort of a thing like that. You know what I mean? The money goes where it needs to go. If there's a birthday, I'll put that aside. We save money. We've got joint savings. I've got my own savings. We've got holiday savings. There's all this sort of stuff that this money goes into. Even with holidays, we don't get a loan to go on holiday. We save up prior, so we've got the money to pay for a holiday. And then we go. So it's all paid for. It's not a holiday and then we've got to pay this back kind of situation. So we're pretty good like that. I'd say the only loan that we have got is for the new car that we, but before that, even cars were bought outright. But we got a new car, so we're paying a loan for that. So that's all taken care of. And then I'm left with the money that I'm left with. And I've got a little bit of my own savings. Even though I save for Christmas separately as well. So I try not to delve into my own savings. But that does happen at times. And also I take a look at what's out over the month and what I want from that. And sometimes I'll list everything that I want. And then I will knock some stuff off of that list. So there is that. So I think that I'm very good in that sense. However, that doesn't mean that there's not a problem and that there is an addiction at play. And, you've got to go back to the mental health crisis that I've had and currently living now. I am medicated for it. I do take tablets. I think that's that I can't. When I tried, when it was suggested I tried lowering the dosage, it kind of knocked me backwards, shall we say. But like I said, I'm not going to get into the details of what they are or anything like that, but it exists. And that's why I think a lot of my channel, when I'm on it, that probably doesn't seem like I've got a problem, because I'm so used to hiding it. I'm so used to living with it that things come across as normal. But it's there, it exists. So has that had a knock-on effect with me collecting? Am I collecting because I need to fill a void? Is there something missing in my life that I feel that I need this to fill that void? Now, like I said, my mum passed away at a very young age. But then I went on after a blip of not wanting to know anyone. I went on to be married, to have 3 children, to always work. I've always worked. 3 children that have gone on to achieve good things, in life, sensible with money. And my daughter's currently studying law. She's going to university to study law. My 2 sons have good jobs. My middle son, who's early 20s now, he went out and bought himself a £7,000 car outright. Second-hand car, but £7,000. He didn't get a loan for that. He had the money saved. He's saving in a government scheme for a mortgage, all this sort of thing. My other son has got a house with his partner, his girlfriend, and they work. They've got good jobs. So. And I've pointed them in the right directions, and the mistakes that I feel were made with me, I've kind of directed them. But is something missing? Is something missing? And that's a question that, I don't know. I don't think there is, because yes, that marriage came to an end. We were young, both of us, me and my ex-wife. We were young, and we probably were too young to start a family. I'll be honest, and we grew into different people, unfortunately, and we split apart. But during that split, that's where I amassed more of debt. And I can honestly say that then, at that point, shopping was kind of seeking happiness kind of a thing. But I'm again married now, obviously. I'm been with the woman I'm married to now, been with for 12 odd years, I think, 12, 13 years. And we're happy. We don't argue. There's no arguing. There's, we go on holidays. We buy what we need, what we want. My purchasing doesn't affect her. What she buys doesn't affect me. We have our own joint savings. Everything is pretty much split down the middle. We're on a sort of earnings par. Well, I think I earn a little bit more than her, but only by a few £100 a month. So we're on kind of par there, and everything is a joint effort. And we're left with, we don't have a joint account other than a savings account that we both put into. We don't work from a joint account. Everything's split down the middle. I have my money left over. She has her money left over. What she does with hers is up to her. What I do with mine is up to me. But, like I said, my problem stemmed before having a channel, yes. Does having a channel have an impact? As in watching YouTube, watching other people's channels? Yes, it did. It did have a negative impact. The Blu-ray hunting videos, going in CEX, just Poundland, buying dross because you're justifying buying it because you haven't seen it, or you have seen it years back, and I'll try again. It's only this much money, so what's the harm in buying it? Those sort of things come across, but it also gives me something to show in a video. Am I still inspired to buy things by other people's openings? Of course I am. Of course I am. There's something I might see. I think, that looks really nice. I might now go and get it. But I think that's a lot less now. I think that's a lot less. I purposely kind of skim over other people's openings. That's why when I do an opening, I will say I've not actually seen this item, even though other people have done openings, simply because, I know I'm getting it, number one, but there's that inspiration to buy. And then when you see someone's collection, they're doing A to Z, and you're like, I ain't got that film, I wouldn't mind having that in the collection. There's that sort of thing as well. But I feel that I've got past that. I feel that that's a thing that did impact me, most definitely, and I think it would anyone who has got a channel. But I don't feel that the issues arose from the channel. There was a bit of an uptick because of, but not fundamentally because of, if that makes sense. So, do I believe I have an addiction? I don't know. Possibly, yes. Although the addiction doesn't hurt anyone. It's not, is it paining me? That's the question. It doesn't hurt anyone around me because I'm not impacting them financially, negatively. The household, people in the household, my children when it comes to Christmas, birthdays, my daughter with money that I give her driving, it doesn't impact. So the only impact I can see negative wise is the amount and the space and the clutter. I wouldn't even say clutter, it's quite tidy, but the head clutter maybe. Now I'm making moves on like I said, on like the culling. The culling is very it's liberating. It's a very liberating feel to turn around and go for a shelf and say, I don't want this, I'm going to get rid of it. That's all it is at the moment though, just words, because the stuff that I've culled I've got all sat in a pile. It hasn't actually physically gone anywhere, with the exception of maybe half a dozen titles that held a little bit of value that I could trade in. So at the moment it's still words, but the fact that I've set it aside to go is a good sign. How will it feel for me when I actually get rid of it? Now I've always said that I don't know what to do with it. Do I trade it in? You know, pointless in some cases, pennies in CEX. Do I give it to a charity shop? A charity shop will bin it, and I don't want to see this stuff being binned. I certainly won't bin it myself. But then I'm asking myself, why don't I? Why don't I do that? Why don't I feel empowered and take this stuff and actually drop it in a bin? Now, on the one hand, I think that is an abhorrent thing to do. It really is, because, you know, Nazis burning books. I almost see it as akin to that. I really do. But for my own sanity, for my own well-being, and for up here and what I'm feeling, maybe that is what I need to do. I've not actually considered that as a necessity, as a need. The other option is I walk into a charity shop and I say, here you go, take all these. They turn around and say, we don't want them because we can't shift them. I say to them, I'm walking out here without them. Put them in your bin. Do what you want with them. There's that option. Do you know what I'm saying? So that is something I might consider doing with what's left after I offer them out to people, which is obviously what I'm going to do. But, you know, I don't know if I'm going to come to any conclusions in this video if I'm going to say I've got a problem. I like, you know, there's new releases coming out, yes, and always like a new release. But there's so many that the titles that I've got, but they're getting new packaging. They're getting multiple, and I've bought multiple releases of stuff. Of course I have. You know, Jaws. How many Jawses do I need? Well, I need as many as I can get. No, this is the problem. It's a fight. It's like, logically, I know I only need one copy of Jaws, but there's a new one there. Buy it. It's your favourite film, but I don't need it. It's like you got these two little posing, you know, you got devil and the angel on your shoulder saying, buy it, don't buy it, buy it, don't buy it, buy it. You know you want it. You got that kind of a thing going on, and I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to put my hands up and say yes. There's a problem. Yeah, I'm addicted to buying stuff, to buying comics, to buying film, to buying collectibles. I've got an addiction. I've got a problem. Okay, and there's a reason that I'm saying that here and now. Yes, I've got a problem. Because if I admit to it, I may be able to, in effect, cause change in myself, and look at what I'm doing. Now, there's a potential move on the cards for me soon. Maybe next 3 or 4 months. It could all fall through, obviously, but move house to a place that is a tad smaller than what I'm in now. This is 4-bedroom, and we'll be downsizing to like a 3-bedroom. Does that mean I'm getting rid of my collection? No, most definitely not. I will still have a room allocated to it because we can, because we've got the space for that. I will have an attic, whereas here this is a converted attic that I'm in at the moment, so up above as a storage is just a crawl space up there, nothing more. But I'll have an attic that I can go up, stand up in, step into, which is what I used to have in my old house before my divorce. And that attic is where I pretty much stored everything, and I had a collection up there. Could I do that again with some of it? I could, but it gives me more space. More space means more purchasing. More purchasing means feeding the habit. So I first of all, I could say is yes, I've got a problem. I'm not going to not admit that. You know, whether it stems from the mental health issues that I have, but then it started before that, or no, did I just like buying stuff, but it progressed. I tend to spend every penny that I have. Every disposable penny that I have by the end of my 4 weeks before I get paid again is spent on I'll find something to spend. The other problem is this. It's a phone. Yes, that's Agent Carter on the cover. Amazon, eBay. You find yourself sat there at night time on your phone, just there, TV's on. You're on Amazon, you're on eBay, looking. And I find myself, and every now and then I find myself saying, put your phone down, to myself. But it's easier said than done. It doesn't always pop in my head that actually what you're doing is wrong. You're sat there shopping. The days before the internet, the days before Amazon, you couldn't do that. You needed to physically go to a shop. That's what I'm saying. Once a week, I'd go up to London. On a DVD, Blu-ray, VHS Blu-ray release day, I'd be more DVD days. I'd be into Sainsbury's on the release day and get what was out that I wanted, that was new. You know, those were the two. But 2 days a week. 2 days a week. Now it's 7 days a week. 24 hours a day. I can go on that phone. I can go on Amazon. I can buy something, and it's here within a day or two. That doesn't help anyone. I need to stop. It feels quite good to say I've got a problem. That, yeah, I've got an addiction. I feel like it's an addiction without harming anyone. But is it mentally harm? That's the question. Is it mentally harming me? That's something that I need to explore. That might take a considerable amount of exploration. And I'll be honest, I see a counsellor, privately funded. I pay for it myself, to talk through issues that I have. But I've never spoke about this one with her. And I may well do that on my next meeting. I may well bring that up as a subject and delve into that. I don't know why in all the time that I've been going that I've never delved into that as an issue. It's never arisen. I think that it might do me some good, and it opens doors, it opens thought processes that I've never had. See things a different way than what I have myself. So I think there's that as well. So there's a positive side to it. So I may well do that. I am going to do that. And do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to feed in a few weeks' time, after maybe a couple of weeks of exploration. I'm going to feed that stuff back here. I'm going to do a follow-up and see what has been explored through that means, and whether there's stuff that has come to light that I don't know about myself, about what I do and why I do it. Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. You know, I need to enact change, and I'm not by enact change. I don't mean cold turkey. I'm always going to want to buy the stuff that I buy, stuff like this. But it's about not needing it. Just getting what you need and what you want, if that makes sense. Rather than, you know, yeah. I don't know. I think, like I said, in conclusion, because I'm going to round this up now. I've been speaking for night. We're probably coming up to about 45 minutes. I've got an issue, most definitely. That's apparent. Is it warrant? No, that's the other thing. It's obvious that I've got an issue. It's obvious that I need to do something about it, just for my own means. Doesn't mean I'm stopping the channel or stopping pickups. I want to stop in excess. That's what I want to stop. Excess. Last month was excessive. February was excessive picking up. It'll be interesting because if this move does happen for me, it means that I've got to move all this stuff. So is there going to be decluttering at that point? Is there going to be eBay selling at that point? What will that bring about? I've only got a few months. The next few months will be quite telling as to what I do and how I do it. It'll be interesting. We shall see. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I've delved into this quite a bit and had, it's quite a serious talk. And talking about mental health, it may have affected people. And obviously, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. But all I can say is if you do feel that you're suffering with things, do reach out to people. And seek help. I don't have the answers there. Even though I have my own journey, I don't have answers. I have answers for myself, but not for other people. But yeah, so anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, whether any of this kind of hits home, whether, you feel, actually, yeah, I can relate to that in a sense. But yeah, it's probably one of the most honest talks I've ever had, and opened up about a lot of things that I've not brought onto the channel. And believe me, I'm not going to bring them onto the channel again, in the sense of I'll revisit this and the collecting, but the mental health stuff that I suffer, I'm not going to bring it onto the channel anymore. It's not meant. It's not part of the channel. I'm not going to come on and start saying, "Oh, I've not been feeling good this weekend. Oh, I've had a bad day." I've not done it before. I'm not going to do it again. Yeah, I just work through it. I work through it. And I have my own processes to work through it. Processes that are not brought onto here, that I don't want to burden anyone with. And that's not the point of this channel. But so I apologise if you feel that I have been kind of talking about stuff that I shouldn't have been talking about. Like you don't really want me to bring onto the channel. It won't be brought on again, but I think it's quite relevant to the subject of what I'm talking about now. I feel that it delves in. It's part of that story. It's part of maybe where the problems lie, where the problems possibly began or built up. And like I said, that exploration will happen with a counsellor. I was interrupted there by my phone battery dying. So yes, this exploration will continue with counsellor, and I it might be interesting for me to give updates. So let me know if that's something you'd be intrigued in, that exploration into my psyche, so to speak. But like I said, I won't bring this onto the channel again. But then that's kind of a contradiction, because in talking about it and the stuff that I delve into with my counsellor, I'm going to have to delve into it again. So okay, there'll be a specific video on updates about it, but what I'm going to say is I'm not going to be doing videos where like, oh, I'm not feeling great today, or I've had a bad weekend, or mental health is a problem. It won't step into openings, reviews, the standard sort of fare that I bring you. It won't be part of that. But what I will say is that obviously that I've got the dog Brody, the puppy that I got sort of latter part of last year. Brody's actually a registered ESA, emotional support animal. It's something that I needed. I had a dog that we lost 4 years ago, a chocolate Labrador, and it impacted me hugely when that dog passed away. It did kick off a bout of problem, with me mentally. It did. It was a struggle to have that loss. Yeah, it's thingy. So that's what Brody is. That's the Brody's point of being here. That he supports me when I need it, and a huge help he is too. But yeah, he is officially registered as a medical aid, essentially as a support animal. But anyway, so I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, I know I said that about 5 minutes ago. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it here now, and I'm going to step away. And I'll see you again soon. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, apologies if anything I've touched upon has brought feelings back to people of stuff that they've been through or anything. That's not the intent here. It's about the exploration of an addiction and how it possibly started, where it started. But like I said, answers to come on that. I will delve into that. Anyway, I'm off. So take care, everyone, and thank you for watching.